Alright, I promised some people a crappy tutorial on how to do shit. So, this so far is Ankh-Morpork, what we have done for it. There's our Cohen placeholder running around.
Hear it.
And what we need is, I mean, this is the biggest help you can actually do, because doing quest, everything, even some of this stuff out here I'm really, really slow at, like dragging and dropping. We've got 8 of these houses, 7 of another, a bunch of other interiors. See, there's nothing here. It takes a lot of time, and sometimes more imagination than I have. We have some people who are really, really good at cluttering these houses up. I mean, it needs a bed, it needs shelves, probably a little doodad, some shit hanging by the fire, I don't know. But there's like 8 of them. So me doing all of them, I'm just gonna like copy paste them and just be boring and lazy. So let me show you, if you're a first time, especially with the CK. If you own Skyrim, it's honestly extremely easy. I mean, saying you have no skill, you can use a mouse, you can move it around, you're going to be able to do this. What you would end up doing is loading up the Discworld ESP. You would actually make it a, not the active file, you'd make a, which I could go over with somebody, but you would just make sure it was checked, and by checking it, it's automatically going to check Skyrim. And then when you loaded it up, it would say that you have not selected the file as active file. Do you wish to continue? You would hit yes. When you do that, it just creates a whole new ESP, which is, you know, the shit you load for making, you know, people's mods and crap. Oh, you know, I'll probably just skip this point. Since YouTube only lets me load 15 minutes, and loading crap in Skyrim takes forever. And I mean, I did the other tutorial video on how we port things to our mod. You can watch that one too if you want. It's on the YouTube page. I think it's public. It's just up there and free to look at. Like this we could probably use a lot of help, because we're gonna make another village too. We've got like the guard barracks, we've got the post office, we've got the seamstress guild. Hell, the unseen university is going to be massive. It's the patrician's estate. Bottomless pit and everything included. Yeah, we're loading. Okay, so then you'd go interiors, and they're literally all labeled, like, you know, if we've actually got a person running to them, they're labeled with Cohen for Cohen's house. Jason Ogg's got a house. I believe we have the barracks houses, 1, 2, harbor master building. Let's just do a house real quick. So we'd load Cohen's house. That's what you do. You load it up. Just zoom in and out with your mouse wheels, pretty much all it is. Left clicks things. You have to hold shift and move the mouse. Will rotate everything around, so you can just, you know, see shit. If you hold the middle click, it'll be the pan, so it'll go back and forth. So you basically, with those two enabled, you can basically see everything you want. Objects are all over here. You can literally just click on static, because that's, well, actually you can use everything. So you can, I wouldn't hit all generally if you have a slow computer. I'd type something in the filter. So we want to do a bed. So we'll type bed in the filter, hit all, and it'll pull up everything with the word bed in it. Usually you want to see this little furniture icon, or you want to see this weird little blue icon that I can't tell what it is because I'm playing on a high-def TV. The furniture ones are like things you can actually sleep on. These are just shit that sits there. So just hit yes. If it ever gives you an error, hit yes. There's so many bloody errors that it just yes to all on all of them. So when you put the bed in, you can then rotate it by holding right click, and you can move it by just dragging it around. Sometimes things don't line up. So when you're moving, if you hold the Z button, you can go up and down with it. Z button goes up and down. The X button will move it along the X axis. And then Y-axis, I'm not quite sure. I'm going to look that one up. I never usually worry about it because X and Z do me good, and I just drag stuff around usually. I think there's a command for it. I'd have to look it up. So generally when you drag and drop, it'll put something right on top of wherever you're dragging and dropping it to. Also, if you want to rotate to make it more crazy, you can hit the W key. And the W key, tapping it twice, will turn it off and let you drag. But if you hit it once, it'll bring up the rotate wheel. And each way will rotate it a different direction. So if you wanted to have this bed on an incline and put something underneath it, you could put it up on an incline. I don't know why. I don't think you'd be able to sleep like that. And you could drag and drop something else under here. There's just loads and loads and loads of things to do. And once you're slaved, there's no worrying about, screwing up my ESP. You're not actually adding to it, and if you do, I will never use it, just for the fact that you could have messed up, the actual main ESP for Discworld. I'll only be copying assets from an ESP that you create. So don't worry, nothing you do can ever screw up the work we're working on. So you can play with it, go crazy. I mean, you can also double click and it'll have the rotation X, Y, and Z, and position X, Y, and Z, which you really don't have to worry about. You can make the scale of the bed, which also, that's another one. If you just want to hold S, you can hold S on your keyboard and then left click and move your mouse up and down, and it'll change the scale of whatever it is you were using. So you can make giant beds, you can make giant fires, you can, look at a fire, it's huge. I'd actually do the same thing with people too. It'll actually make the people huge. You can have giants walking around, make Cohen gargantuan. So, I mean, literally everything is subclassed under here pretty decently. Static, you got the actors for different things. Armor, you'll probably mostly be looking at the furniture marker, which is up here under world objects. You'll mostly be looking at furniture objects. There's some containers with chests. I mean, you could play with it, just drag and drop things, and you'll see it, and you'll realize what it was in Skyrim, and you'll probably realize what it does at that point too. Everything in here you've seen. So I mean, that's honestly really the basics for it. It's not that hard. And I mean, once you put everything in here, you can even add lights. If you wanted to like put some candles, there's lights, and I mean, you can even type in candle into the light, and it should bring up a whole ton of candle lights. So I mean, you could go default candle light, boom. And the same thing, Z will move that up. Rotating it does nothing because it's a flipping light, unless you bought a spotlight. And then if you wanted to, these buttons up here, this one will turn on the lights. So you'll be able to see your little candle light and what it would do. So if you had a candle over here, it would light up this much. We obviously already have the firelight in here. And if you wanted to animate them, you hit FX, and it'll start doing the actual animations of things. The other buttons are for sky, grass. Havoc settling. Let's get into havoc settling. Say you wanted to make it look like, crap's been thrown around or messed up on a desk or something. So let's do shelf. I'm just going to go back down and click all, which brings up a whole ton of crap we don't need. Comment shelf. There we go. Okay. Alright, I'm going to get this bed out of here. So put this comment shelf over here. Now we want a book, which I don't think any of them come up with book. Yeah, they do. Never mind. I'm stupid. This is how often I clutter up shit. This is why I get people who are smarter than me and a little more diligent to actually clutter crap, because I'm lazy. So you put in the book. You're like, alright, yay, that book. Well, if it sits like that, it's kind of in the shelf, right? Say maybe you wanted it to look like it's been tossed around. So click the book. Oh, that's another one. If you want to hide stuff, it's button 1. So if you hit 1 once, it'll make it like invisible and you won't be able to click it. And if you hit 1 a second time, it makes it completely out of sight. And if you want to bring them back, you just hit Alt 1. So we take the book, lift it up in the air, and then this button up here to the left of the, or sorry, 2 to the left of the light is Havoc Settle, which if you leave it clicked on, it's going to always do this. It's always going to add basically gravity. And so in that case, if you actually brought another book out while it was clicked, it keeps trying to calculate every second. So it would Havoc Settle this as I drug it around. And it like kind of goes a little wonky. So you kind of want to place what you want to Havoc Settle, then hit the button and let it fall. And then it bugs out and like doesn't do anything. So you put it in a shelf, Havoc Settle. Guess I received an email or something. I heard a blunk. Honestly, that's about all you really need to know. I mean, anybody else, if you want to learn anything else, if you want to do, landscape and add stuff to the actual Discworld itself, I mean, outside is huge. The other thing I guess you could know too, this works on the inside too. If you right-click anywhere in the window and go Render Window Properties, you can go to Movement, and snap to grid. That's going to make all your objects snap on an 8x8. Usually works. Everything in each of the houses is snapped to 16. So if you use 8, you'll generally be able to move small objects around. Sometimes you want to turn that off if you're moving really small objects around. Snap to angle, I usually leave at 15. You can also turn that off or turn it down to 5 or something. You can change your camera movement. I usually find these work pretty good for me. Zoom speed 1.4, rotation 1, pan speed 10, that kind of crap. Gizmo size is that when you hit W on something, it changes it. Like I said, the world is huge. Do not do what I'm doing right now. For some low-end computers, it probably will crash you. I think the largest I've ever gone up to is like 47 or something. You can probably go to 15 on most computers, but that just loads up more of the world. It usually only loads a few cells at a time. But I mean, as you can see, we've got a whole lot of world that needs to get some work done to it. There we go. Now you can see the world a little bit better. And it just keeps going. There's lots of it. I mean, it's not an overboard amount. Give me 6 months, I could probably get the whole thing done. But give 50 people 3 weeks, we could probably have this freaking done. It just depends, people have time and stuff. We got one guy, I mean, you could make dungeons, you can do, I mean, the full tool set is at your disposal for making anything in the game. If you want it, it's there. We even include with it a blank interior. You can right click, duplicate cell, and then you'll have your own blank interior on your ESP. And I would recommend having the sky on. And I mean, when you do that, you can go down to static, dungeons, and this generally has everything they use to make a dungeon. I mean, if you go dungeon, small rooms, you've suddenly got all the things. Dungeon, room, small corner, inn. And then boom, there's your first piece. Dwemer wall. Then you can pull out you can just hit Control D to copy anything you do. Place it, and yeah, boom, you've got 2 pieces that are together. You just line them up and go for it. And you can just keep building and building like that. We'll do all the nav meshing on our end, anything that's a little more complicated. It's not really that hard for us. I've rabbled on for 12 minutes now. Show you some more Vank Morpork then, since you're... But I mean, we've got a lot of places that need to be cleaned up or be added to, like the post office over here. Get the mouse cursor out of screen. Post office, I mean, most of them are pretty basic interiors, but we made the interiors match the exteriors for you, so anybody who really wanted to come in here, I mean, it's first come, first serve at this point. Like, at some point, if I have to do it, I'm going to do it, but I'm concentrating on the macro, not the micro. I need to get the world in order and moving, just in order to, get this rolling. I do work a lot faster when it comes to, quest design, voice, adding the voices, making sure everything's lip sync, doing that kind of thing. Just basically adding the scenes and writing the scripts for the quests and getting everything set up. That's where I shine. And if somebody else can come along and do the interior of a house faster or wants to do it, has fun doing it, it's all yours. I'll do it eventually. There's the clacks. I love the clacks. It's animated too. That took me way too long, but it's freaking awesome. We also have the tavern. I mean, just a few of the big ones. We have a lot of those little houses, though, and I mean that does need to get done. Got less than a minute. Let me show you the tavern. Thank God for SSDs and loading screens. It's super fast. So yeah, just wanted the tavern to be a little more lively, fun, some water, splashing around. Probably put a bar up there. I mean, just whatever anybody wants to do in here. Let's see if I can get to the guards building before. Oh wait, no. I gotta kill John Shifter. I made a giant chicken, and he's in one of the videos. I don't know if I unlisted it or not, but I just had fun like making traps over here. Problem with LOD is that stupid crap. It doesn't LOD some of this stuff, so it won't render until you get close. I gotta kill the chicken. We got 30 seconds to murder the chicken. Just a giant chicken. There he is. There he is. He's just walking. He's just walking. He's just walking. And die, chicken. How do you live? How do you live through that? There, dead chicken. Okay, with 20 seconds to spare for YouTube. Whee! So any more questions, email me at this on this account, ddproductions83@gmail.com, or Skype, darren.d23. We are willing to help, get on, do video screen shares, answer questions, blah, blah, blah. 3 seconds to go. See you later.